Welcome back to the greatest show on grass. We're here with Home Depot Debbie out at the TPC Scottsdale. So we've got the beautiful grass behind us.
Yes.
And it always has us thinking, okay, the real grass looks pretty, but we know water conservation.
Yep.
And for other reasons, turf is also a nice alternative, although it can be expensive, right, to put in. So you've got kind of the list of pros and cons as you're maybe figuring out, what should I do with my front yard, backyard? Is it the time to get turf?
You know, they're both great in their own ways, and they both have, you know, their challenges in their own ways. And you can see here, I have a piece of sod here, and that's directly from Home Depot, and then a piece of artificial turf. And it is, when grass looks great, it looks great. But it takes a lot of work to keep it going. So when it's properly maintained, and these guys have been working on this lawn, you know, if everybody has a team like that, you can have gorgeous
then you've got good grass, yeah.
Natural grass is also great for our air quality and for the environment, right? And then also cushioned grass, I mean, for playing on, for walking on, athletes, you know, it's very easy on your joints. It's very cushioned, so if you fall, you know, so grass is great in that manner, where artificial turf can be harder, and it is made of plastic, so it's not as cushioned as a natural grass would be. So that's one thing that, you know, also natural grass, you know, is great for our pollution. You know, it keeps pollution down. It helps develop the immune system because it's all natural, where artificial grass is not. So these are some of the pros and cons. Also, natural grass absorbs carbon dioxide and then it emits oxygen into our air. So it makes it easier for us to breathe, where artificial grass doesn't do that. But also, artificial grass is allergy free.
So we like that, especially if you have allergies.
That's right. There's a lot of people that are allergic to grass where artificial grass doesn't have that. Artificial grass looks great all year round. There's very little maintenance, and we're going to talk about maintenance of it in the next segment. But the life expectancy is a very long time, depending on the quality of it. It can last from 10, 15, 20, 25 years. So you want to get a good quality.
So it's an investment up front.
It is. So your artificial grass is a higher cost up front, and then your grass is a less expensive choice. But over time, the maintenance alone on grass is going to, you know, cost a lot more than your initial upfront investment for artificial turf. So you have to balance on what you want. Again, artificial turf costs more up front, but looks great for a long time, where grass is less expensive, but, you know, takes a lot of maintenance to make it look good.
So you've got some examples here, and I'm assuming this is
just
the lower cost
exactly.
option, right?
This is like putting green,
yes,
just a very, you know, some people put this on their patios, you know, that kind of thing. But this is like from our installer that we have at Home Depot called Paradise Greens. You can see Matt at Paradise Greens, and they come out and give you an estimate, and they install beautiful, thick, plush artificial grass, and they have a few different levels, you know, and they do all the work, you know, and it's, you know, a great service that we provide. We also have artificial grass that you can buy by the roll in Home Depot that you could do yourself.
How does that work?
But so
I mean, obviously you do it yourself, but I'd imagine that's a little bit of a challenge.
So you buy all the materials, and then of course you need to know all the layers that it takes, and then after you lay it and stake it and stretch it and do all that, then you have to backfill it with sand. So there's a lot of steps involved, but it is more costly, less costly to do it yourself, obviously. But at Paradise Greens, they like do it all for you, and it's, you know, a great service, and then it just looks gorgeous when you're done. Also, with artificial turf, you don't need, you know, lawnmower and trimming tools, and it doesn't emit gas from the actual tools. But with grass, now we have all battery operated if you want to choose, so it doesn't have those emissions. You know, so there's a lot of
lots to consider.
Different
and we're going to keep the conversation coming.
Yes.
In the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to dive a little deeper.
We are on maintenance and cost analysis versus, you know, artificial grass versus natural grass, how much they cost, and how to maintain them.
Okay. Look for that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Maybe if you're one of those who have been kind of thinking about maybe replacing your real grass for the artificial stuff for years. Pete, we're going to send it over to you with a check of your forecast. The sun is coming up. A little chilly out, but it sounds like it's going to be a really beautiful day.
Now, let's send it on over to Kylie, who is about 60 feet to my left, with an update and all kinds of fun things going on with Debbie. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's always fun with Debbie Pete. We're excited for the 60s and rain, and we're excited to talk about turf versus grass.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people have been in this kind, I don't want to call it a predicament, but for the last few years, you know, do we switch out the grass for turf? What do we do? And you're kind of breaking down the cost, because ultimately it comes down to money for a lot of people, and putting in turf is expensive.
It is. You know, earlier we talked about the pros and cons of natural grass versus artificial turf, and now comes down to the money, like you said, a cost comparison between them. If you start with grass seed, if you buy the seed and fertilizer and you have to tip the lawn and do the whole process, it's pretty inexpensive, starting at about 25 cents up to 50 cents a square foot. So that's a doable thing, but then again, takes lots of water, lots of care, and lots of maintenance. And then if you go to sod, like we sell pieces that are 2 foot by 5 foot, as you can see here.
And how much would that be?
That one is $10, so it's $1 per square foot. So $1 square foot, if you get it nice and fresh like this, can really look great, really fast. You don't have to wait for anything to grow. So it's nice and affordable. And that's not installed, of course. You just buy it and you do it yourself.
But
That's
then,
right.
But then let's talk about the cost of doing the turf.
Okay, so turf, as I mentioned, we sell turf in the store, big rolls of it, and also the sand and the backfill. That starts at about $2.44 a square foot, so pretty reasonable still. And then if you go to artificial turf that we install from Paradise Greens, again, you can see Matt, and he will come out and give you an estimate, and that ranges from about $7.25 to $10.50 a square foot installed. So not including, you know, tearing out whatever's there or removal, but just for the installation of it, and it depends on the grade of the turf. As you can see here, I've got different grades of turf. We have landscape turf, special for pet turf with it's got antimicrobial agents, and also has extra drainage capabilities, and also a heat blocker, so it stays a little cooler. Artificial turf can get hot.
It really can,
But
depending on what you
if
get.
it's got a heat blocker, and if it's shaded, it doesn't get sun is what really heats up. You know, the heat does it a little bit, but the sun really does. And then we got sport and playground turf. So there's many levels that ranges from the $7.25,
which is where you have your little sheet here.
That's right, to the $10.50. So depending on what suits your needs the best and how far in advance you think of it, you can go from, you know, really inexpensive to a little more. But again, as we mentioned, if you do natural grass seed or sod, it's going to have a lot of maintenance coming up with you know, water, and that's where we're going to go into maintenance.
Okay, we've got about a minute left.
Okay,
Let's
so
get
when
started.
you maintain natural grass, you're going to have to water it, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to rake it, and you're going to have a blower. This blower works great for artificial or natural
So
grass.
do you want me to start
Go
with
ahead.
artificial
If you
or the
collect
natural?
debris, both.
Okay.
Just do it. And you're just going to blow off all the debris.
This is the
And
real
do the
stuff.
natural grass as well. And then the artificial turf. So there you go. Part of the maintenance. Pretty easy, right?
Okay.
And also, if you're going to get artificial turf, a plastic rake works best for raking it. And in high traffic areas, it can mat down. So you want to use the rake to make it just look beautiful. I mean, usually blowing it and then raking it with a plastic rake, maybe
nice.
once a month,
Yeah.
or not even. And then if you have pets, you know, we have the Simple Green outdoor odor eliminator, and that's also for cleaning it. And you want to, if you have bigger dogs, you want to do it about once a month.
Okay.
If you have smaller dogs, you may never need to do that. And then with the natural grass, again, we talked about the higher maintenance, which is all of the water. You have to seed it in the winter to get a new lawn. You have to mow it every week. Constant watering, trim the edges. So there's a lot more maintenance with natural grass. But again, the cons, the pros we talked about earlier really are going to be positive. So if you like natural, go that. If you like artificial, do that. And, you know, just enjoy your lawn.
There we go. And the blower works for both, Whitney, just in
It
case
does.
everybody was wondering. Blower works for natural and it works for the artificial
It
stuff. So
does.
some interesting conversations,
Yeah.
Whitney. I think a lot of people have been kind of contemplating what to do, natural versus the real stuff. We're going to take a quick break. More Good Morning Arizona coming up right after this.